Hi, I'm Charlie from CookingSecretsForMen.com. So we are continuing with our series, Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders, and I'm pleased to have my friend Joanne Anton here to do some cooking, and we'll talk about her work in the community, in the public service, and I guess some in the private sector too, that you're involved with. So you are currently the Director of Giving for Herb Cole Philanthropies?
I am.
Okay. So, and you've had a very diverse and interesting career in the public eye. You were a special assistant to the mayor here in Milwaukee. You ran Senator Cole's office in Wisconsin. Was he 3-term or 4-term?
4-term.
4-term senator from here in Wisconsin. You ran the transition team for Governor Evers here in Wisconsin. So that was, I'm sure, a fun operation. And you also owned a very successful restaurant here in Milwaukee. So talk about your journey in these very public positions and situations that you've been in.
Well, my journey really is born right here in Milwaukee. I'm born and bred and educated and have done basically everything else an adult does. Raised my family and now, continuing my career here in Milwaukee. The journey began at a small service business, and so that's where I learned to interact with people and love people and take care of people. And I think my journey has really just been a continuation of that.
Okay. So the small service operation that you're in, what was that?
It's a dry cleaning business that started in the early 1900s.
And it's London Cleaner?
It is, and it's still there.
Still there on Milwaukee Street, right?
On Milwaukee Street with its latest generation taking care of people.
So, you're involved with many nonprofits, which is part of being a community leader. You're setting the direction for a lot of different places. I mean, for instance, you're on the Greater Milwaukee Committee board. Are you the president?
No.
Just on the board?
Just on the board.
Harbor District, and president of the Rotary Club, which I think is, you get to introduce all the acts on live at the Lakeshore on Wednesdays.
I did because I was, and it was a great post. I'm no longer, I'm now past president, which is an even better post.
Okay. And then you're board of the Wisconsin State Fair Foundation. So I'm sure there's others in there. So tell me a little about the various nonprofit groups that you're involved with now and how you juggle all of these various public nonprofit things with your day job.
I think the way I juggle them is, for me, they're learning opportunities. I know there's a service component, but to me, joining a board and getting involved really is a continuing education for me and a way to give back to my community. And so the boards that I'm on right now are really interesting to me. They're about growing Milwaukee, taking care of our community. They have great leadership, and to me, that's what attracts me to get involved. And of course, not being well versed in any of those particular areas. Again, like I said, they're great learning opportunities for me to dig in and work collaboratively with people that I might not otherwise be able to have that opportunity to engage with and find common ways to do good things here in Milwaukee.
Thanks. So you owned a very successful restaurant here in Milwaukee, La Perla, which was, as far as I'm concerned, the gold standard of Mexican restaurants. It was, it's a place, if you wanted Mexican food, you went to La Perla. You said sold that, and so tell us a little bit about juggling your day job and being in the restaurant business. Because, I mean, we were there many times on the weekend, and there you were, front of the house, directing traffic, and it just seemed to be like, wow, that must be really tough.
Well, over our years in business, we actually, there were times when we owned 4 or 5 restaurants at the same time. I could take you back to the year 2003, and I'm positive that we don't have any family memories or pictures, because there was a good 2-3 years where we were just rolling with it. We were going everywhere on basically roller skates and moving fast. Our kids were young. I was juggling lots of different components of Senator Cole's operation campaigns and his Senate office. We had the restaurants. We were married. We just had life. And so the way you juggle it is, I think, having a really great support system and just rolling with it. It was a lot of fun. And now that we're out of it, there's new fun to be had as well.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about your family. So why don't you tell us a little bit more? Now your husband Nick is one of my favorite people in the world. So tell us a little bit about the whole family.
Sure. I'm married to my husband Nick. We've been married for almost 1 year in a couple weeks. We have 2 boys, Paul and Frank, and they are now grown, and one lives out of town and the other one is here. Both are attorneys. We're just, a regular family, like to have fun. I'm surrounded by, this show is like made for my family, Charlie. I'm surrounded by men who love to eat. And I fill that role for them in making good food, hopefully.
I love to eat, therefore I cook. So I've been to your house and we've been entertained by you in various places. So I know you're a wonderful cook. So what are we cooking today?
Well, I'm Greek, so today we are making spanakopita, which is spinach pie. And to me, just food is love. And it is a way to show people that you care about them. It is a way for them to leave hopefully feeling good and nourished and well cared for. So spanakopita is my go-to thing. It's perfect to make and eat right away, pop in the freezer, and as I was telling you earlier, you can pull them out whenever you're in a pinch and you need something quick and easy and delicious.
So I've had your spanakopita before. I can't quite say it the Greek way, spanakopita. And it's always delicious. The best I've ever done is to buy it at Trader Joe's. So I've never made it. So this will be an interesting situation for me to learn as your sous chef how we go about making. Now you have an apron somewhere.
I do.
Where's your apron?
My apron's over here.
Why don't you grab it? I'm going to show you her apron. I'm going to, as a parting gift, we're going to give her one of our aprons, but she's got a good one to see. You see, it says Greek goddess. So, and that pretty much sums her up, both in terms of the work that she does in the community and the way she attacks stuff in the kitchen. So it's really great. So, give us a chance to set up. We will get to working on the spanakopita and be right back. All right, so we're going to get started. Joanne's going to tell us a little bit about the process that we're going to go through. So, Joanne?
All right, so the first thing you need to do is get out your phyllo dough. It needs to be properly thawed because it comes frozen. And it's the most intimidating part of this entire recipe because it is paper thin and needs to be properly maintained while you're assembling. So what I've done is I have just gently dampened 2 cheesecloth and a towel and put the phyllo dough between it and let it rest here. The moisture will help keep it from cracking and over drying, and then we can get to our cooking and our assembly of the other items. The next thing we have are basically the dairy items that become part of the spinach pie. In Greece, there are 2 main staples of this recipe. One is just a plain cheese pie, which would be made with these items right here. But the more preferred and the more delicious is the spinach pie, which adds the greens to the cheese pie recipe. So everybody does it a little differently. What I have assembled here today is some imported Greek feta cheese and some ricotta, eggs to help bind, and then I like to add cottage cheese because all these different things sort of give a nice texture to the dairy cheese.
This is cottage cheese?
This is cottage cheese,
okay.
Yes. So then, spinach pie is a little bit of a misnomer because spinach was not native to Greece, and so what this pie really consisted of generations ago were wild greens, and basically anything that you could find, you could cut up, and it's really super healthy. Obviously, you're getting great vitamins and nutrition from it. So today, I'm not using only spinach. I did prepare 1 bowl of spinach. Here, I'm using turnip greens, and here, I'm using Swiss chard. Sometimes, in the summertime, whatever comes up, I'll use some dandelion greens, I'll use red Swiss chard, I'll use beet tops, whatever, because you can just chop it all up
Right.
and put it in and mix it up. You don't even need spinach at the end of the day. And some diced onions, yes.
Okay, we're ready to put it all together.
Okay, and so you need some really, really good, authentic Greek olive oil. So we're going to start by putting that. We're going to get our oven going.
We got our little grease cookbooks back here.
Okay, so let's get our front burner on. Okay. You can never use too much olive oil in my book.
That's a golden rule. No such thing as too much olive oil, garlic, chocolate,
Yes.
or sugar.
Now, sometimes people put garlic in their spinach pie. I do not. It tends to overpower, and so I just stick to the onions. And we're going to just saute those until they get a little glassy, and then we just toss everything else in.
Is there any particular order they go in, or does it matter?
Onions first, for sure, and then the greens, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, because they all basically do the same thing. They all
Yeah.
shrivel up and...
And they all shrivel up, and they all take about the same amount of time, so you just gotta wait till each of them shrinks down, whatever can fit into the pan, and as they shrink, just keep adding more. And just be careful, you don't want the heat to burn your onions.
But you'd think that the moisture in the greens would help with the burning of the onion, or not burning of the onion.
Yes, it does. You don't want your greens to be too wet,
Right.
although a lot of recipes call for frozen spinach. To me, that is heresy. I never use frozen anything unless you can't get it. Because if it's too wet, the phyllo dough isn't fully sealed,
Right.
although we'll get it pretty good. We'll get it as sealed as we possibly can today. They start to run out, and then they bleed, and they get soggy. And what you really want is the outside to be really nice and flaky, crispy, and the inside to be just gently moist.
All right, we got a little Greek music for us to be in the background. Hopefully there's no copyright infringements.
Oh, we're missing now, Charlie, some Greek wine.
Well, we thought about bringing some alcohol, but then again, it is 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, so we kind of opted away from that.
Okay, now we are adding the turnip greens. Okay, so now we're going to do a little spinach. Let that go. I'm going to cut up a little dill.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, would you?
I'm sous chefing.
Okay, there you go. It's not the best knife. You might want one of your knives.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I can't keep it alive in the summer.
That's my problem. I can keep very small tufts of it alive. I don't know how they get big bunches like that.
In?
We're going to wait. That'll be the last thing we put in. I actually like to add it in a little bit here and then a little bit fresh. So a little gets cooked and then a little stays raw.
So we added some dill in.
Yes, and don't forget we preheated our oven to 350. So it'll be ready to pop in the spinach pie. Okay, I think we are good. This is getting nice, and we're going to turn it off and just let it keep cooking. And now we're going to do the dairy portion. So we are going to start with the ricotta. And Charlie, I just eyeball all of it at this point. However, it's pretty much like a cup of everything. Cottage cheese. I'm going to use all this. We're going to get it nice and creamy. Okay. Thanks, Charlie. We're going to use 2 eggs right now. Not sure if we're going to use a third. We'll see what it looks like. Again, eyeballing it. And then with our Greek cheese, I just take it and crumble it up. All All right, we're gonna mix this up. You're our audience.
The egg will bind.
Yes. Give it a nice little color. And then salt and pepper, Charlie, at some point. Here we go. We got salt and pepper. More pepper than salt because the cheese is plenty salty.
Right.
Okay, so this is done. And as I said, we're going to use a little fresh dill. We cooked some of it, and we'll throw some fresh in here.
All right. And then with this, what do we do?
So here we need to get this off the stove into, I'm going to add it to this bowl just so it can cool down. You do not want to stick the hot right into,
Right.
otherwise we'll curdle everything into. Just like we're in Greece, Ellen.
All right, so we're gonna.
All right. While that's cooling down, we're going to start to do the phyllo dough, and I should use the cookie sheet. And the only other thing I need is this bowl here with some olive oil in it because we need to baste the phyllo dough.
Okay.
So that, I like to add a little salt and pepper to mine. Because again, it's basting and giving flavor. I'm going to add this slowly because you can see it's still steaming hot. You can put it on a great Italian bread and just bake it in the oven. Yeah.
Notice she didn't say put it on Greek bread.
I know my audience. Although Greeks invented bread, Charlie. No, I'm kidding.
I know. Just ask Nick.
Just ask my husband, yes. Okay, we're going to take, I like to do them 2 at a time. I like to double them up.
So 2 sheets individual, or two
sheets
individual sheets.
Married together, yep.
And we've got a parchment paper on a large sheet pan.
And keep this moist. You got to keep that covered. All right, so we are going to just drizzle the olive oil, which is again going to help keep this moist. And then we have to cut it. And then we have to fold it. Were you an Eagle Scout, Charlie? Did you ever do Boy Scouts with the boys?
I was a Boy Scout, yeah.
Okay, so do you remember how to fold a flag?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. Okay. So you can do these as big as you want. Each strip is 1 piece. And we're just gonna, hopefully I've cut them well enough.
So we've got, out of the 2 phyllo large strips, we've got 3 that we're going to make. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay, so you put it at the bottom and you wish yourself, you sort of do your cross and wish yourself some luck. So you want to try to pinch down, so your first triangle. You don't want to let any of this escape, so you just have to keep sort of tucking, nipping and tucking. Then, see, it's like we're folding up a flag. You just keep on going. And sometimes you need to, see a little getting out there too. You need to constantly keep redirecting this. You need to keep basting it because you don't want these to dry up, and it adds excellent flavor too. And olive oil is the best kind of fat. So, there's our first, these are big cheese pies, but we have a big appetite, right?
Right.
Spinach pies, spinach cheese pies. Okay, so again, pinch them down, make sure you're locking it in as best as you can. And then you just rinse and repeat, keep going. The end seam is really important, so you lather it up, close it off.
That's where you may have some moisture escaping.
Yes, so that's where you have to really do your best to lock that in.
I'm so impressed with the phyllo dough. I've never had any luck with phyllo.
Well, I just bombed one here, so they happen. You know, they're not. It's so tricky.
This is the added part.
Yeah, don't tell anyone I bombed that one.
We can edit anything.
They should-
I mean, well, the moisture clearly is something that I haven't focused on. I mean, I can't even get it separated and get it put
That's-
out.
yeah.
You know, and it's all stuck together. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't work
So
with
the
this.
trick is moist
Can't let
towels.
it down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And just keep it covered. I've had that problem too, because like, you know, I get lazy, and so what should we do now?
All right, so we've got the Spanakopita ready to go in. How long will these take, Joanne?
These will probably take 15 to 20 minutes, and really just for good measure, I throw a little bit of salt on top.
So we put these in, and be back in about 15, 20 minutes. Show you what they look like, and I think we might eat one or two. All right, we're back. So this is what we made. I say we because I actually did a couple of them. The little teeny ones were mine. Joanne's got the big ones. But they came out great, nice and brown. So we're going to test them and see, make sure that they're good. So Joanne, which one do you want?
I will take, how about this one right here?
It's nice and brown. They held together. They didn't leak. I'm going to have one of the little ones because I'm a dainty eater. Put my napkin in my lap as I was been told to do. I mean, as I was raised to do.
Ooh, they are nice and hot.
The dough is so flaky. Yeah, I think I'll use it. Delicious.
Not bad.
I can tell you that the filling inside is completely editable. Editable? It's not edit. That's when you edit something. Edible by itself with the cheese and the cottage cheese and the
Ricotta
ricotta.
and the feta, and yeah.
It was fabulous. You can eat a bowl of that by yourself, but these are even better. So I think we might have one or two while we're sitting here. These are great for parties. There's a little bit of work involved, but it's certainly worth it.
Do it all at once and then enjoy them.
Yes, one thing
No,
that we want to
don't
mention.
cook them. Don't cook them if you want to freeze them. Freeze them and then bake them.
Okay, so you put them together, freeze them, and then take them out and bake them. Great. Well, Joanne, thank you so much for coming by. It's been a blast. I love the Greek music. We had the Greek cookbooks and delicious Greek food, and I've learned how to make Spanakopita. The dough just came together great. The one thing that Joanne pointed out many times is lots of olive oil. Again, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Take a break for a couple weeks. Yes, I believe it's Cecilia Gore from the Brewers Foundation. And she's vegetarian, so I will be interesting to put something together. This is vegetarian, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, good. And we will continue our series of cooking with community leaders. It's been a blast getting people like Joanne to come in and talk about their community service and also eat great food. So we do appreciate it. So appreciate everyone. Please like our videos. Please subscribe if you're not already. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.